Joaquin Niemann wins for the 5th time on the Live Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry is our guy who sends me live stats every week.
I love that you get live stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey coming off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So, and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So, to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. What's the...
Here's why JY is great. Because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? Whoa, I don't remember that one, JY.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I drafted Aaron Jones in my dynasty league, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a dynasty league, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50%, not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets. I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Another action-packed early line segment right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's on the right side. It's Joe Ranieri. It's what we do. We're breaking down the NFC South, having fun here, saying, can the Buccaneers win this division once again? Will they win this division? And also teams like the New Orleans Saints, who are probably going to stink this year. You never know, though. Teams always surprise on a year-to-year basis, but I do think a huge surprise would be the New Orleans Saints. Like, hey, by the way, Joe, it's October 14th. The Saints are in first place in the NFC South. That's probably not something we're going to say. You know, what we will say is, hey, Tyler Shuck looks pretty good, or they drafted Tyler Shuck. Like, that's what it feels like for the Saints here in football. But, hey, away we go. A new season's going to begin. Preseason week number 1. Everybody's underway, including the New Orleans Saints.
And ironically enough, the South divisions in both the NFC and the AFC are very top-heavy, Donnie, are they not? In transitional year, they say. I don't know if there is a dark horse in either of those divisions, but if I was going to take a flyer outside of Tampa, I would think that maybe the one team that might overperform this year to expectations is Carolina.
Yeah, you know what? On the way up. Quarterback's there, more weapons in town. Chuba Hubbard and the boys, we get that, which brings us into our next buy or sell question. It does focus on the Carolina Panthers, and it's Bryce Young. If we look at his statistics, right, his odds, or should I say his numbers this year, prop bets, 3,200.5 passing yards. You say, ooh, that's not that much. And you take a look at what he's thrown for so far in the NFL, it's like, oh, okay, that's an increase here. Passing touchdowns, 18.5. Most interceptions in the NFL, 25-1, which is a tough number to hit because you have to be bad and play the entire season. Not usually a combination that works out in your favor. MVP odds at 100-1. We don't think that's going to take place. But the buy or sell question for the Carolina Panthers mainly is on Bryce Young. Is he playing for his career as a starting quarterback? Now, I'm going to throw it over to you in a second. For my money here, looking at Bryce Young, you just have to continue to increase under Dave Canales. We don't have high expectations. At least I don't for the Carolina Panthers. But it's an unfair question because you're also saying to yourself, everybody really is playing for their career. 3rd year for Bryce Young. If we're not turning the corner and winning 7 games, maybe he's not the quarterback of the future. So for me, I'm going to say buy. Yes, he is playing for his career because you're no longer a young quarterback in the NFL in year number 3. You don't perform well this year, you're probably done.
Well, last year was unique. First of all, Dave Canales took the job and he was hired there to do one thing and one thing only, and that was to fix Bryce Young. Because again, this ownership group didn't do this young quarterback any favors. And boy, you finally got the right coach in there. Now, what we saw last year is we went from Bryce Young to Andy Dalton back to Bryce Young, if you recall. I think he took back over in week 8. So the final 10 games that he was the quarterback, they went 4-6. He had 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He completed 62% of his passes. He ran for 223 yards and 37 carries. He had almost 7 yards per attempt. He looked so much better and more comfortable than we have ever seen him to this point in the NFL. I think they should have beat the Chiefs. They should have beat the Eagles down that stretch. They could have beaten the Bucs as well. So this was a very Chuba Hubbard running the ball was great. Xavier Legette was absolutely a monster. And Adam Thielen, too, where you could have made a lot of money in the prop betting market backing him each and every week, the unforgotten one there. The problem with this team was the defense. Can they, and they spent a lot of assets building up this defense this year. If the defense is more competitive, I think Bryce Young takes that next step. And yes, I think this team could surprise a lot in the win total.
By the way, you're right about that. Bring up one of those games where the Carolina Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles, the Panthers stunk. But there was a pass that Bryce Young threw late in that ball game that should have been a touchdown that was dropped, and the Eagles probably lose that football game. But yet, the Spurs on, they end up winning the Super Bowl at that point. It shows how close on a week-to-week basis teams in the NFL can be. And Bryce Young's been around the block, not a rookie quarterback anymore, entering into his 3rd year. The expectations are he's going to at least deliver them a chance to play meaningful football games in December, not just absolutely playing a spoiler once we get to the month of December here. But other NFL notes throughout the landscape that we saw yesterday, some interesting doings here. And the sexy pick, as I always like to say, this NFL season is the Los Angeles Rams. And I always like to say in preseason camp, boy, if you're injured, a lot of times you stay injured. An aging quarterback with a lot of wear and tear, Matthew Stafford, getting epidurals now, back issues. Don't worry about it. Let's worry about it. My goodness. Like, if it's Jimmy G time, that's a downgrade for the Rams. But I didn't expect to hear about any of these issues coming from Matthew Stafford heading into the season.
Well, listen, he's always had some issues, health-wise there. But they did such a good job building up the offensive line and protecting him. They certainly did last year, but this is the risk that you run with a 37, 38-year-old quarterback, Donnie, and we know this, but you got to have faith in that coaching staff there. They got a lot of young guys on both sides of the ball, and I think they'll be fine, but they're going to take their time with him. They have proven defensively with all that young talent, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think they just signed Williams now. They locked him up there. I think they're going to be just fine. A lot is going to depend on Stafford, but I think they've been down this road with him before, and they know exactly how to baby him along.
And by the way, off the field stuff in the NFL too, which is interesting. We've all seen over the past couple of years, like, ooh, what a great invention here from the NFL to actually come up with the red zone. Very lucrative, very profitable for them. They sell that entity off to ESPN. Now, from a red zone perspective, it's nice that the ticket is now on like YouTube, where it's not the dish where like only 2% of the country can actually get it. So that is viable. Like, as a handicapper and a sports bettor, like, I think the red zone is cool for like the casual fan. I'm not knocking it here. I'm just going to explain like my thought process. But now that we have the ticket open, I don't watch the red zone all that much because I don't care about it that fashion. If I can watch any game I want at the push of a button. But I got to tell you, but when there's just the dish days and a lot of people couldn't get that, the red zone was fantastic. If you're a fantasy football player, just casual, the red zone is fantastic. So the question you, Joe, is not a buy or sell at this point. But the red zone going to ESPN, a lot of people saying, oh no, there's the death of the red zone.
Scary situation there, but also paid a ton of money for it. So with that kind of price tag, they can do whatever they want. But you already know if they decide to change who the host of that show is, there might be a mutiny here because people like what they like. They don't like changes. They don't like all of a sudden showing up and going, wait, who is this? What's going on here? So you hope that, they just keep things status quo because there's not a lot more I think you need to do with the red zone. I don't think it needs to be improved. It wasn't sold because it wasn't doing well. So if it ain't broke, ESPN, let's not try to fix it this year. That would be great.
Exactly. And how about this one coming in here? NFL bans smelling salts. George Kittle was upset that he uses smelling salts every single start of a new drive to go out there. What would be the reason for that? Is that warping your mind at this point? Is that an unfair advantage that you go, oh, now I'm ready to go. Boy, I'm awake right now. What's the reason for banning smelling salts? They've been around for decades.
Forever. So what happens? So when a guy gets knocked out, are we not allowed to bring him smelling salt now? Like, what is this? This is the most ridiculous thing. I have no idea why they would. Is it give somebody an edge? It only lasts like 10 seconds, Donnie. I don't understand what's going on here.
Yeah, there's some super powered like smelling salts out that I've seen, but I've never been all throughout my football career, never took smelling salts, never got knocked out, so I didn't need smelling salts to come back to life. But we've all smelled smelling salts, like wow, like it really just blasts your brain quickly, like resets the track. They're going in the NFL. Time to talk to PGA. Keith Stewart's coming up. I want to know who's not here this week on the PGA Tour. How about that?
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Oh, yeah, people, it's time to talk a little bit of golf right now. Why you say yourself, you know what? The majors are all done, but the money isn't done yet, and there's a lot of money to be had on the PGA Tour and a lot of topics to be discussed here. It's Donnie right side. It is Joe Ranieri. Now we welcome in Keith Stewart, our resident PGA professional / insider, to give us the news and notes on all the latest. Keith, how's it going this morning? How are we feeling?
Donnie, Joe, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. Fortunately, I didn't make it out to Memphis this year where it's about 8,000 degrees, like the surface of the sun. So I'm enjoying the air conditioning right now.
Keith, everybody is ready to go except for one person right now. And now, before we even get to the tournament itself or how this lays out and how you can win it, a lot of talk about Rory saying, you know what, I don't need to be here. Based on the rules, I don't need to play this week. I'll see you at a later time. The PGA seems concerned by this and maybe a loophole that's changing. But explain to the people out there what's actually going on, what Rory is doing, and what the PGA Tour is actually concerned about.
Well, what can get confusing, and this is a really good question, is that you advance in the playoffs for the FedEx Cup by points, by FedEx Cup points, not by your standing in the tournament. So the top 70 players on the points list got in this week to Memphis to the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Next week, it is not the top 50 finishers, it is the top 50 point getters. Well, with Rory with 3 wins on tour, I mean, he doesn't really have to show up until Atlanta in the Tour Championship. So I mean, this isn't the first thing that's been flawed on the PGA Tour schedule. And I mean, there's an easy fix for this. Just take the top 50 guys that finished this week. I mean, it would be pretty cool to have a playoff like 6 guys tied for that 50th spot, and we're only taking 1. Like there's ways to build up the drama here and everything, but I digress. Rory, the usual, the drama, everything else, he's not here. It's all about me. But let's talk about the other 69 guys.
Yeah, well, we got a few of them here, and of course, we'll give everyone at home 3 guesses as to who the favorite is to win this week there. But I mean, Keith, it's and deservedly so. I think that maybe is the best part. It's not like the books are going over the top trying to put. Scottie Scheffler deserves to be a 2 to 3 to 1 favorite, and he keeps proving it all the time.
Joe, you're absolutely correct. I mean, look at the way he boat raced everybody at the last major championship. He's won 2 of 4 this year. He's won multiple times. He's won a bunch of times on the PGA Tour. A lot of people maybe aren't familiar with this that are watching right now, but there are markets out there that you can bet without Scottie. Now, you're going to take a hit on the overall outright odds, but you know what? I like Matt Fitzpatrick this week, right? He's 28 to 1 with Scottie in the field, but he's 22 to 1 with Scottie not in the field. Well, guess what? Donnie can come up with 10 wins on a Sunday on the NFL, right? And he's still not going to get 22 to 1. If Matt wins this week on Sunday, you get the 4-day lottery. So for me, I think people, sometimes they're like, oh, I'm not getting the number I want. How about just a nice big number on golf and picking somebody that if they finish first or second behind Scottie, you still get the victory.
Let's take a look at this golf course here as it plays out. The FedEx St. Jude Championship here. TPC Southwind in Memphis, Tennessee, about 7,300 yards out here. Big purse, as we know. That's why these guys are playing. Give us a look at how this course is going to play out and some of those keys that we can use on some of these individuals.
Donnie, before I drop the keys, let's just talk real quick. Last year, after the tournament was over, they did a complete renovation of the golf course. All 18 greens would have been regrassed. They did a little bit of manipulation, and they added some size to the green surfaces. They used to be about 4,300 square feet on average. They're 4,500 square feet on average. Now, some people think that makes it easier, but I actually think that makes it harder at the tour level because that gives those tournament officials the opportunity to tuck more pins, which makes, these guys always fire at them, so they short side themselves. So the first key of the week has got to be approach play. We have zoysia grass in the fairways, and the ball's going to sit up. If you are a great ball striker on approach, anywhere from 150 to 175 yards, that's your sweet spot. Those are the guys. The second key is that with brand new greens, and we've seen this before, when they're immature, they're super firm, they're super bouncy. Memphis or TPC Southwind, where we are this week, is not a big short game, need skill set type golf course. So what I think you need to do is you're going to get some bad bounces this week over these greens, and you're going to need to be savvy with your short game to save a couple pars down the stretch, especially for the contenders. I would throw that in the mix. And the third thing is that, we're back on Bermuda grass again. So those Bermuda grass putters, you got to make some putts. Average winning score here since they went to a WGC at a playoff event is about 15, 16 under par. So you're going to have to make some subpar scores.
Is it me, Keith, or does it feel like forever since we've had 8 under win a golf tournament? Like, my goodness. It's like, are we only getting that in majors now? Is everything 15, 20, 23 under par? Do you think right around that number is what we're going to be looking at this week as well with the weather?
Well, Joe, they call it TPC Southwind, and they're not looking at much wind this week. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. The ball is going to be flying. This thing is a fader's paradise. aim down the left-hand side, let it bleed back to the right. Guys like Wyndham Clark, Scotty, that all play a fade. The top 10 last year, 8 of those guys predominantly play a fade off the tee for a right-hander, left to right ball flight. I mean, these guys are just going to be bombing away and attacking with a wedge. So, yes, there's going to be scoring. I don't think there's anything you can do in any of these playoff events. The place is going to play pretty firm this week, and they're still going to get to the mid-teens. I mean, I don't know where I've heard this before, Joe, but these guys are good. There's just no way to stop them.
Yep. Yes, and taking a look at some of these players that are going to play this weekend. Again, in the playoffs? Yeah, it's the playoffs on the PGA. Scotty Scheffler's a plus 280 price. Where's those early leans on the early line that we need, Keith?
Well, I mentioned one of the guys earlier, but I love me a little bit of Fitzmagic. Matthew Fitzpatrick, he's got 4 straight top 8 finishes on the PGA Tour. Now, if you like him in the full, with Scotty in the field, he's right around 2,800, 2,200 without, his short game, top 5 in the field, and the approach game, off the tee, and he has a couple, nice top 15 finishes here at Southwind before. The second guy, how about the septic tank, boys? I'm going deep with Sepp Straka, all right? He's 50-1 when you're looking at the full board, 40-1 or so, maybe dropping even more so. But this guy is the king of zoysia grass, and I mentioned that earlier. But these are zoysia fairways. The ball sits up. Every time he plays on zoysia grass, he tends to really, really pop on approach, and you need that factor here. He was a runner-up in 2022, lost in a playoff to Will Zalatoris, and he's got a great comp win at PGA National.
Fantastic information from Keith Stewart. SportsGrid's finest right here, breaking down all the information you need to know on the PGA Tour, including the Tour Championship, and looking forward to the Ryder Cup. Thank you, Keith, for joining us this Wednesday morning. It's time to talk more Major League Baseball next. We don't care where you were drafted. You outperform somebody, you're going to be on that football field. Now, again, there are extenuating circumstances where he drafted quarterback number 3 overall. Yeah, they're going to try him out for the next 3 to 4 years, even if he's not as good as anybody on that roster. But from Shadur's perspective, that's probably the case. Tyler Huntley, Shadur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of names on that list, not a lot of good names on that list, so he can earn a job on this football team.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Edge rushers. That's where it is right now. And I think Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. I think TJ Watt's right there. I think Micah Parsons is right there. Certainly, those guys are very, very good. Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. He just absolutely is. When the advanced stats about the double team rate, his quarterback pressure rate, all of that, he just stands a notch. I don't want to say a big gap, but he stands a notch ahead of those guys.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Right back at it, people, having some fun. It is a Wednesday morning. Big news, big notes. Joe Ranieri, Donnie Rightside, just talk some PGA Tour action. What do you think about that, Joe? You excited for this weekend? No Rory, no problem?
Yeah, well, listen, if I was Rory, I wouldn't show up either. I mean, what's the difference? He's not going to get knocked out of the top 30 or top 50, and probably Scotty's winning it anyway. So if I'm him, get a little extra rest, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, there you go. He's probably got more than enough money, relaxing. Last time we saw him was a major championship. And I was like, you know what? I could still advance without playing here. PGA Tour was like, you're not supposed to do that and skip out on what the fans want to see. Newsflash, PGA. We don't want to see any of this stuff. We just want to get to the Ryder Cup here. The season is done. We don't care how much more money the PGA Tour is going to make. Just get us to the Ryder Cup, and away we go. But at this time of the show, Joe, what do we like to do? Reach out to the public. Ask them their opinion on hot topics here. At SportsGrid is where you can find it. It is our poll today. Fade the public. Never thought it would come to this, Joe. Like the New York Yankees, supposed to be in the playoffs every year, supposed to have the highest payroll, supposed to get the best talent in the offseason, supposed to get the best talent at the trade deadline. Maybe it's not working out. Certainly isn't here in the late days of July into August. The question we ask the people today is, will the Yankees make the postseason this year? And my goodness, is it close? 50.9 to 49.1. No, the Yankees won't make the playoffs, Joe?
Listen, Donnie, the value is with fading them not to make the playoffs, right? I mean, they have been so overhyped, and unfortunately, recency bias will creep in here because they look absolutely lost. But the thing that concerns me is that the teams that are chasing them, the teams that can overtake them, are playing much better. They're kind of coming into their own. They're playing their best baseball now, which is worrisome because if it gets any worse for the Yankees, the New York media market is not the market that you want to be in to think that you're going to snap out of it. And to me, there's just a total lack of leadership in that clubhouse right now. And it could get worse before it gets better. And by that time, Donnie, it could be too late.
No, and for my money, like looking at it and say, well, which way would you like to go? I love the panic. I love to sound the alarms, but I actually voted against barely against the fading the public here. Just saying, yes, they're still going to make the playoffs. There's too much talent on that roster. Now, if we do look at like the wild card standings today and say, okay, if the season ended, what would take place? Yankees are still in the playoffs. So it's not as if they're 10 games back with 5 teams to jump at this point. The Red Sox, the Mariners, the Yankees in that order, closely followed by the Rangers, who have a legitimate chance to get in that playoff hunt. And then the Cleveland Guardians, who are a game and a half back, which sounds kind of odd. You figure they were dead and buried because we only talk about that in the terms of like a division. But Detroit hasn't played all that good, all that, great baseball as of late. So for me, I do think the Yankees will settle in, and maybe it takes a home stand to get 4 or 5 games back and hang around. But they're not dead in the water. They're not playing great baseball by any stretch, but there's plenty of time here from now all the way through the end of September where you can go 500 or better, and that's probably good enough to get you into the playoffs, Joe.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting. I think most Yankee fans are still waiting, saying, all right, so where is the Yankees kicking it into another gear? When are we going to get the Yankee best here? And have we already seen it? That's the other question, Donnie. Have the Yankees during that ridiculously long win streak they had, a month or so? Was that it? Was that the best that it gets? A lot of question marks with a team that, you're right, has this much talent that we should not be questioning as the calendar is turned to August. It's absurd.
Like, look at those standings right now. Like, you say to yourself, like, if you just look at the American League East, Toronto Blue Jays, 67 wins in first place. The Boston Red Sox, 64 wins in second place, 3 back of the Toronto Blue Jays. The New York Yankees, 60 wins, 6.5 games back of the Toronto Blue Jays, and 3.5 games back here of the Boston Red Sox. It's unbelievable how we got here because the Yankees were always that first place team, now slipping away. But I talk about this so many times, Joe. All it takes, again, Toronto's winning baseball games back where they haven't been playing great baseball, winners of 2 in a row. The Red Sox just picked up their 7th win in a row. You know when the worst time to have a losing streak is? When everybody else around you or ahead of you is winning baseball games. The Yankees have lost 5 games in a row. That's why you're seeing, like, man, 6.5 games back. Weren't they up 6.5 games, it felt like, in the month of May and June? It's crazy times, Joe, right now. My goodness.
Yeah. Recency bias, Donnie. But again, you take the season as a whole. Have we gotten the best already from this Yankee team? That's my question.
Yeah, the question's going to be, have we gotten the best? And by the way, there is a quick turnaround because in Major League Baseball, you play 6 out of every 7 days. Yankees and the Rangers playing again today. Let's handicap that next. 4 losses? Uh-oh. We don't care where you were drafted. You outperformed somebody, you're going to be on that football field. Now, again, there are extenuating circumstances where he drafted quarterback number 3 overall. Yeah, they're going to try him out for the next 3 to 4 years, even if he's not as good as anybody on that roster. But from Shador's perspective, that's probably the case. Tyler Huntley, Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of names on that list, not a lot of good names on that list, so he can earn a job on this football team.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's edge rushers. That's where it is right now. And I think Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. I think TJ Watt's right there. I think Micah Parsons is right there. Certainly, those guys are very, very good. Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. He just absolutely is. When the advanced stats about the double team rate, his quarterback pressure rate, all of that, he just stands a notch. I don't want to say a big gap, but he stands a notch ahead of those guys.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
It was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth of the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it, like I do. Like, sometimes I get caught up in the Padres of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Full card in Major League Baseball today. A lot of good opportunities today. I like a couple of the pitchers to fade on the mound today, like a couple batting spots here. But also, we were teasing before this break, talking a lot about the New York Yankees. Aaron Judge coming back to the lineup, them not playing well. We just asked a question that fade the public poll. How about this New York Yankees? Will they even make the playoffs at this point? Like, there is a lot of panic, but we had to sort of correct that and say the season ended today. The Yankees are still in the playoffs. There's plenty of time to turn it around, maybe even chase down the Toronto Blue Jays or the Boston Red Sox, who at the beginning of the season certainly didn't have as lofty expectations as the New York Yankees had. But let's focus on today. 2:35 start down in Texas, 9:13, 9:14 on the rotation. The New York Yankees, Texas Rangers, Carlos Rodon for the Yankees, the lefty, will be on the mound facing Jack Leiter. 8s across the board. You take a look at the total in this game. Okay, maybe they get 9 runs, but the Yankees certainly a 2-0 game. Didn't do anything against Eovaldi yesterday. But how about this price point, Joe? Minus 155s, minus 160s overnight, they are gone. Minus 138s, minus 135s, minus 127s here. Nobody buying the Yankees. And you know how I like to look at that saying, if nobody's buying the Yankees, is that the time that we finally buy the Yankees?
How is a team that has lost 19 of their last 24 away from on the road, by the way, not overall, that's just on the road. How in the world are they a favorite in any way, shape, or form, especially when Carlos Rodon has been the absolute definition, the minute July hit, he has been the definition of mediocre. I mean, he's just under a 5 ERA since the start of July. He's not shutting anybody down. And you've got a Rangers team who's looking for the sweep and has won 11 of their last 12 at Globe Life. And Jack Leiter, by the way, has really started to come into his own. He's the opposite of what Rodon has been lately. He seems to be getting better and better with each start. At plus money, I get the better team right now. I'll take the better team at plus money all the time.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to ride out streaks. And again, the Yankees lineup does present itself well against right-handed pitching, particularly. That's what Jack Leiter is. But my goodness, they couldn't do anything last night. The bats seemed a little bit sluggish. Even in that last game where you saw where they played in Miami, it wasn't even so much the bats. They got 5 runs in there and still got beat because their pitching, particularly their bullpen, hasn't been holding up. You should win games 2-0. Like if your starting pitcher puts you in a game where it's 0-0 in the 8th inning, come on, Yankees, you got to come away with that base knock to win it. And last night, it was the base knock there by the Rangers late in that game to seal the fate here once again for the New York Yankees. We'll see if it plays out differently today, but we all know this. It's fun when you're winning. The locker room is popping. Those win streaks are fun. When you're the New York Yankees in that media space and you're playing bad baseball, it compounds its issues every single day. We'll see if they can snap back out of it. I guess the only good thing is you don't have to wait long to play this game. It's a day game as opposed to a night game, but we'll find out, as we like to say, sooner than later on that game. That's going to take place at 2:35 today. Next up on the docket, let's head out to Los Angeles, St. Louis, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Max Muncy came back last night. My goodness, did he come back. Today, another game, 4:10 start, which means on the West Coast, Joe, it's a 1 o'clock start. 9:05, 9:06. Liberators on the mound, the left-handed pitcher for the Cardinals going up against Shohei Ohtani. Last time we saw Shohei Ohtani on the mound, leading with a little bit of cramping, tightness in his hip. We'll see if he got those kinks worked out. But the odds market is buying into Ohtani, Joe. Minus 200s overnight, that's higher now. Minus 215s, minus 220s across the sports betting landscape. And a total that opened up at 9, now creeping higher to 9.5. Expectations are possibly for runs out in Los Angeles.
Well, it's funny because the Dodgers have said they're planning to stretch him out finally. And we thought that might happen come August here. And he did cramp up a little bit, but last time out. But they said they plan on him going 4 innings in this matchup here as they try to get him ready for a postseason run. So this has got an over written all over it, because if he goes 4, great. If he doesn't, the bullpen's got to get in sooner rather than later. Mookie Betts finally ended a 0 for 22 run there with 3 hits last night. I do think they can turn it back around. I'm expecting runs in this afternoon game, and just keep an eye on Ohtani. Does he go 4? If he doesn't, that means runs are being scored. I do like the over here.
Yeah, anticipated lineup today doesn't look like it has Max Muncy going up against a left-handed pitcher, which, quite frankly, Los Angeles hasn't hit left-handed pitching all that well over the past month, but you do sometimes look at the environment they play, and usually Chavez Ravine, Joe, at night, pitching plays, that marine layer on the West Coast, not in the daytime. 88 degrees at first pitch, wind blowing out. That changes a lot of things there. So maybe the runs are anticipated, and you just needed a breakout game for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and maybe Ohtani can get stretched out. But if he isn't, that's even better for the over. Hey, Ohtani's done after 2 innings. Great. Bullpen game for the next 7 innings. You certainly would sign up for that as well. Good times out there in Chavez Ravine. We'll see how it plays today. And also, if that has any saying on that NL vote for MVP, if Ohtani can go 4, 5, or 6 innings today, 1 run or less, maybe pop a home run, we'll find out certainly there. Cincinnati and Chicago, don't look now, but those Reds here doing a little bit of damage, trying to make the playoffs here, going up against Chicago Cubs, 9:03, 9:04, 2:20 start from Wrigley today. Abbott, the lefty, on the mound against Horton. And of course, you see the opening number at 8 as the total, Joe. It's down to 7.5. You don't even have to check the conditions at Wrigley. Who cares what the weather is? It means the wind is blowing in. A favorite here for Chicago overnight in the mid-140s. That's now dipping. You'll see the graphic on the screen at a -142. It's actually lower right now. -135s, -138s, depending on what book you are shopping at right now. Chicago Cubs, you got to stay within reaching distance here of the Brewers. You need to win somehow. Do they get it against Abbott today?
Well, it's going to be not easy. I mean, Abbott has allowed, I believe, 2 earned runs or less in 16 of his 19 starts this year. I mean, he's not given up the long ball, so he has been pretty much lights out. I mean, sneaky under the radar Cy Young conversation here for what he has done this season. Cade Horton, not exactly a guy that brings a whole lot of confidence, but you mentioned it. 7.5 is an interesting number. I don't necessarily trust Cade Horton, so I think backing the Reds early in the first 5 is a pretty good look here. I don't trust that Reds bullpen, but I trust Abbott to limit the damage by the Cubs like he's done to everyone else. I'll back the Reds here in the first 5.
Yes, got to start winning some baseball games if you want to try to track down the Milwaukee Brewers, who are absolutely red hot at this point, looking for another victory today against lowly Atlanta. who just a season that, yes, we just have to take a look and say the expectations were win that division, go deep in the playoffs with a possible World Series too. We're not even going to touch 500, and we're getting our doors blown off, it feels like, on a night-to-night basis. Milwaukee, again, is going to take on Atlanta today. Jose Quintana, the left-handed pitcher, will be on the mound going up against Spencer Strider, 907, 908 on the rotation. This is a night game tonight, Joe, 7:15. You look at the opening numbers, 135, 136. They're still sitting there at this point, so Spencer Strider can't even move the needle anymore as a starting pitcher here for the Atlanta Braves. A total which opened up at 8.5. Now we sit 8 across the board. It just feels like the MO tonight is what? 4-2 victory for the Milwaukee Brewers?
You mentioned it with Texas. Okay. If I get the better team at plus money, I don't care. I'm betting them. They are basically an auto bet right now. You're talking about a team that's 44-16 since May 24th, and they're 22-7 since the start of July. The Braves are a train wreck. I don't care that Spencer Strider is on the mound. That bullpen will have to get involved at some point. Give me the better team at plus money any day of the week here.
Yeah, we take a look at Spencer Strider's last 98 batters he's faced over the past month. You take a look at his ISO power numbers, 165 against its average, weighted on base percentage, it's average. He's usually well above average as a pitcher. Right-handed batters certainly getting to him a little bit. Not a lot of Ks today in that lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers going up against right-handed pitching. We understand Strider is a power pitcher, but you put the ball in play, certainly good things can happen. Atlanta's lineup, though, doesn't look that bad. The middle of it, Ozuna, Murphy, Albies, and Eli White, really high ISO power numbers and weighted on base percentages. The one thing we always look at Jose Quintana, just a slippery pitcher. Either he has it or he doesn't at that point, right? Not a big K guy, tries to work around hard contact and barrel rates at this point here, but it's also just a dead Braves team. Sometimes it's just tough to bet those. And I told you yesterday, and I'll speak on it ad nauseum, batters still want to get base hits, but something just isn't right for the Atlanta Braves. They just don't get very many base hits anymore at this point. It's just the way it is. You know who need more base hits today? The New York Mets, the Phillies, extending their lead. Let's talk about their game against the Cleveland Guardians up next. We don't care where you were drafted. You outperform somebody, you're going to be on that football field. Now, again, there are extenuating circumstances where he drafted quarterback number 3 overall. Yeah, they're going to try him out for the next 3 to 4 years, even if he's not as good as anybody on that roster. But from Shadur's perspective, that's probably the case. Tyler Huntley, Shadur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of names on that list, not a lot of good names on that list, so he can earn a job on this football team.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Becoming just harder in general to do business from a money standpoint in general, let alone the competition. So yeah, Betfred closing up shop will be gone by tomorrow. We'll see if any sportsbook fills this void. It'll mean that there's a license up for grabs in Pennsylvania, which is one of the biggest states for sports betting and is home to a lot of other operators. At this point, we're getting to a time when no one's rushing into the market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's edge rushers. That's where it is right now. And I think Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. I think TJ Watt's right there. I think Micah Parsons is right there. Certainly, those guys are very, very good. Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. He just absolutely is. When the advanced stats about the double team rate, his quarterback pressure rate, all of that, he just stands a notch. I don't want to say a big gap, but he stands a notch ahead of those guys.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Need a win, need a win, need a win. A lot of teams in Major League Baseball, Joe Ranieri, looking for that win. None more important maybe than the New York Mets, with the Phillies playing very good baseball, extending their lead now to 2.5 games over the New York Mets. They're going to take on the Cleveland Guardians once again today. Williams will be on the mound, the right-handed pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, going up against Mr. Peterson, the lefty of the New York Mets. 923, 924 on the rotation, a 110 start, and a heavy favorite for those New York Mets. Minus 180s, minus 182s, depending where you're shopping right now. You see that graphic, minus 174. Total of 8 overnight, Joe, dropped to 7.5. Peterson's got really good numbers. Not a hot hitting lineup per se for the Guardians, but they're playing much better baseball than they have. And maybe looking at those Detroit Tigers, like, we could chase them down. But more importantly, they're live in the wild card race. No longer one of those teams that we thought would just be a pushover, even though you have relievers and pitchers suspended here that you would need. How about that? Could they come away with another victory today in Flushing?
Well, we talked about them yesterday, and I really did like them in that spot against the Mets. The Mets don't hit lefties, and Logan Allen, outside of a couple of runs early, did a fantastic job, as did the bullpen. The Mets are struggling to score runs. The Guardians, quietly under the radar, Donnie, to your point, have all of a sudden played themselves into a wild card spot, and nobody's talking about them because it's either, well, where's Class A and where's this team is really starting to come into their own. The problem with them is, like the Mets, they don't hit lefties well either. I think they're 25th in OPS versus lefties this year. David Peterson, 5-0. He's got a 2 ERA at home. This feels, with a day off tomorrow, Donnie, for the Mets, this feels like we need to get one here. They need a win in a big way, and I think all hands will be on deck here to get this W, take the day off tomorrow, and then head into the weekend and try and get something going. So I like the Mets in this spot. I don't love the price, but I can only look their direction here.
Yeah, we look at these two pitchers here based on the past 45 days. They are similar. David Peterson, 40 1/3 innings pitched here, a 3.35 ERA and a 3.92 xFIP number. If we take a look at Gavin Williams, 41 innings pitched over the past 45 days, a 2.85 ERA and a 4.25 xFIP number. We'll see how that plays out, but certainly the Mets cannot afford another loss. Why? Because the next game that we're going to bring up right now, that's the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Two lefties on the mound today. Rogers going up against Suarez, 921, 922 on the rotation. An afternoon start at Citizens Bank Park at 12:35. A favorite overnight of around a minus 170 price. That's actually going higher. You see that price clip here on the TV side of things at a minus 158. Minus 172s, minus 179s across the betting landscape, depending on which book you're shopping at right now. And a total, which opened up at 8.5, has dropped to 8. Rogers does have good stats. The Phillies always bring a great starting pitcher here. And last night, absolutely shut down the Baltimore Orioles in a 5-0 shutout. It just feels like the Phillies right now getting into rhythm here in the month of August.
Yeah, and with two lefties on the mound, Donnie, but both of these offenses aren't great against lefties. They're much better against righties. And Trevor Rogers, I mean, talk about turning the clock back. Unbelievable the job the Orioles have done with him. He is in the best form that we have seen him in maybe a rookie year there with the Marlins. So, and you know what Ranger Suarez is. We all know what Ranger Suarez is. He's having also a tremendous year. I agree with the move to the under. In a getaway situation, no way would I look to think we're going to get a ton of runs by these offenses. I think the under is the play. Even at 8, Donnie, I'm still looking at an under here.
No, I think you're right about that, too, because you look at Rogers, and you're right. On the card today, Joe, he's 6th overall, and that's out of 28 pitchers that are eligible here. A 1.13 ERA over his past 47 2/3 innings pitched. Like, even the analytics are still decent at 3.63, but if you're giving up basically 1 run per start, you're going to keep your guys in the game. But you know what else also hurts? Well, you give up your 1 run, and then you get shut out like you didn't score any runs last night. So we'll see what happens, say, with the Philadelphia Phillies and the Baltimore Orioles as we keep cranking through. How about Houston? Let's get down there and take a look at the Miami Marlins down there in South Beach taking on Houston. Spencer Arrighetti, haven't heard that name in a while, starting pitcher for the Astros. Maybe they're getting a little bit healthier. Jansen Junk on the mound today. 927, 920 on the rotation. A 440 start from South Beach. An 8 as a total, Joe. And roughly pick 'em. Overnight, minus 108s, minus 110s, minus 115, still staying there. Are we trusting Arrighetti? Do we see more bats today? Do we get an over 8.5? What's your vibes today on the Marlins taking on the Astros?
Very hard to back a guy that, where has he been, Donnie? I've not seen Arrighetti, and welcome back is right here. But the bats have come alive for Houston. Make no mistake about it. What have they scored? 15 in the last couple of games here, looking for this sweep. And I think they could very well get it. Having Pena back in that lineup has been great. Carrera, Jesus Sanchez against his former team, Urias, all the additions that Houston made are finally starting after getting swept in Boston, are finally starting to put it together. And then, of course, you've got the Marlins who just, they won the World Series by sweeping the Yankees, apparently, and can't figure out how to put it back together. Not a offense right now I want to step in front of. Don't know what we're going to get from Arrighetti, but I'll tell you this. I know what we're going to get from the Houston bullpen, and it's pretty darn good. So at this price, give me the hot lineup right now, and that is the Houston Astros.
You're right about that. Like, Jansen Junk actually had a couple good starts here, but his last three, Joe, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. The next start, 5 innings pitched, 8 hits, 3 earned runs. And his last start against the Yankees, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, and 6 earned runs here. And you're right. You take a look at Carlos Correa. He's had at least a base hit in 10 of his last 11 games, some of those with multiple base hits. You look just going up against right-handed pitching over the past month, teams on fire. Pena, Sanchez, Altuve, Correa, Walker, Caratini, Diaz, and Trammell, all high ISOs and weighted on base percentages. And the best part about this is Jansen Junk's not a strikeout pitcher, Joe. Hasn't struck out a lot against right-handed pitching over the past month. That's the Houston Astros lineup here. So we might have something. It's a pitcher's ballpark. We get that. Getaway day, we understand that as well. But if you are looking for a team to stay hot with the Houston Astros at the plate, this could be a day where you certainly focus in on. So nice Major League Baseball card. I do like, Joe, the split. Sometimes too many afternoon games, not enough night games, no afternoon games, not enough or too many night games. We got a nice split today. Good afternoon action, good night action.
Yep. We got a little something for everybody here today, and at good prices. Better teams at plus money. Interesting.
Good prices, people. Buys up next. We need a rebound today. It's Wednesday's 4 Hump Day, people. Let's get some dubs. We don't care where you were drafted. You outperform somebody, you're going to be on that football field. Now, again, there are extenuating circumstances where you draft a quarterback number 3 overall. Yeah, they're going to try him out for the next 3 to 4 years, even if he's not as good as anybody on that roster. But from Shador's perspective, that's probably the case. Tyler Huntley, Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of names on that list, not a lot of good names on that list, so he can earn a job on this football team.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's becoming just harder in general to do business from a money standpoint in general, let alone the competition. So yeah, Betfred closing up shop will be gone by tomorrow. We'll see if any sportsbook fills this void. It'll mean that there's a license up for grabs in Pennsylvania, which is one of the biggest states for sports betting and is home to a lot of other operators. At this point, we're getting to a time when no one's rushing into the market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's edge rushers. That's where it is right now. And I think Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. I think TJ Watt's right there. I think Micah Parsons is right there. Certainly, those guys are very, very good. Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. He just absolutely is. When the advanced stats about the double team rate, his quarterback pressure rate, all of that, he just stands a notch. I don't want to say a big gap, but he stands a notch ahead of those guys.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
How do we like to end the early line? On a day-to-day basis, we like to give out winners. Yesterday, we didn't give out winners, so today we would love to give out some winners. So it's Donnie right side, it's Joe Ranieri. We'll have a couple more hot topics before we end this segment of our show. But in the meantime, Joe, we got to give the people what they want, right? Like sometimes when you lose a game, how you lose it doesn't really matter because a loss is still a loss. But when you say, you know what, Mason Miller's going to shut this bad boy down perfect, is in the game. Same thing with like in Philadelphia. If Duran comes in, it's like, hey, I just need it under. The guy's got to get a couple outs. And he throws a pitch 103+ miles an hour that landed in the seats, Joe. How'd that happen last night? Come on now. Stop.
Yeah. And to think that actually stayed up because it was the perfect spot. We love the under 9 in that game last night. And 103-mile-an-hour fastball gets parked for a 2-run home run. And there goes the under. Good news is Padres ended up coming back with 5 in the top of the 10th, I think, to end up winning it. But the damage had already been done at that point there, Donnie. But I think we're going to bounce back with a big night here tonight, you and I.
I love it. It's time for some bye. Get on it, Joe Ranieri. I know there's a juggernaut offense that you're probably looking to fade today. Who's that?
Well, listen, let's be realistic here. If it ain't broke, let's not fix it. I mentioned yesterday before giving out that total in the Arizona Padre game that, listen, just figure out a way to back the Brewers as much as you can, especially against bad teams. And the Braves are a bad team here. But they do get Spencer Strider, who's had a little extra rest given the fact that, well, that game was rained out on Saturday at Motor Speedway there, so we got a little extra time. He'll be going up against the red-hot Milwaukee Brewers. But the problem is, offensively, we can't trust the Braves to do a whole heck of a lot. Quintana's a guy that he'll get some strikeouts here, but ultimately, I trust that this might be a lot more of a lower-scoring game, especially early. Donnie, I think Strider will limit the Brewers. I do think Atlanta is still going to struggle to get some runs. I think 4.5. I think there's some value on the under in the first 5 here because I don't see both offenses lighting the pitchers up here to the tune of 5 or more runs in the first 5 innings. So I think the value is on the under early in this one.
Love it there. Also love the picture. They gave you a nice little glamour shot right there, which I'm going to get to my glamour shot in just a moment here. But bye for me. West Coast sometimes is the best coast. I'm fading Jonathan Cannon tonight. Can't get too many guys out. Seattle should be able to pop tonight. I have 7 of the 9 batters at a plus tonight. Arozarena, Rowley, Rodriguez, Suarez, Polanco, Crawford, and Cole. Team total over 4.5 runs for the Seattle Mariners tonight. Now, as you see this graphic pop up on the screen, that picture was taken 4 years ago and 52 pounds heavier for your boy DRS right there. And also, mind you, a nice sport coat on right there, chilling, had the black shirt underneath, but I was also taking a picture. It felt like staring into the sun at the same time. Not my finest hour, but my heaviest weight, Joe Ranieri. What do you think about that?
I was just going to say, I thought that was your older brother. I was like, was that what's going on? You like the younger brother here now, Donnie? Like, what's happening here? But look at that, right? Doesn't it look like he's like, is that Donnie's uncle? Like, what's going on here with this photo?
Can you guess where I was in that picture? Can you guess where that picture was taken at? Can you guess?
Oh, boy.
It was in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
An old haunt for us at the SportsGrid Network. It was an old haunt there. I was asked to show up at this place to take that picture and take a couple other glamour shots here. It was crossing the river over from New York. There's a stadium in that area. There's a practice facility in that area. There's a horse race track. Enough hints.
Somebody go to Belmont? Like where'd you go? Or did you go? Where were you there?
Yeah. Meadowlands.
Oh, the Meadowlands.
I was on the top deck overlooking the horse race track, which in the background you can see MetLife right there, into a blazing sun, I believe, in the early month of June. So that's what it was. I finished up on the early line, got in the car, drove like an hour and 40 minutes to take a couple glamour shots, then drove back home. That's the history of that picture. 50, by the way, the wife hates that picture. You don't even look like that anymore. That's nostalgic, Joe, right? Come on now. You got to have some nostalgia.
No, that's what I'm saying, Donnie. I'm telling you, it looks like your older brother. It's fantastic, man. It looks, you look night and day now compared to that picture.
There you go. Living La Vida Loca, baby. And by the way, we're going to get some winners tonight. That bye segment, maybe the best we've done, maybe the most inspirational bye in the history of the show. We'll see what happens here. But for Joe Ranieri and Donnie Rightside and the whole crew on the early line, we will see you bright and early on a Thursday morning. Take care.